What if I told you the smartest grocery shoppers in America are accidentally wasting hundreds at Aldi every single year? Not because the deals aren't real, they are, but because there's a hidden system to this store that nobody explains. And breaking even one rule destroys everything. Ever yelled at an Aldi cashier about prices? Congratulations! You just wasted your breath on someone with absolutely zero power to change anything. Here's what most shoppers don't realize. Aldi store managers can't adjust prices. Not by a penny. Not even if a competitor across the street is selling the same thing cheaper. Every single price tag you see comes straight from the regional distribution center. Locked in. Non-negotiable. And it gets weirder. Those price differences between two Aldis 15 minutes apart? That's not local competition at work. It's warehouse contracts. Different distribution centers negotiate separate deals with suppliers. So your Aldi might pay more for olive oil than your cousin's Aldi 3 towns over. Same bottle. Different contract. Now here's where it gets interesting. Aldi negotiates pricing 6 to 12 months in advance, while other grocery stores scramble to raise prices the moment inflation hits. Aldi is still riding on last year's deal. That's why Aldi prices sometimes feel weirdly stable during chaos. They're operating on contracts signed before things got expensive. But when prices do suddenly jump, it's rarely corporate greed. Usually means a long-term supplier contract just expired. New contract, new reality. So, what's the smart move? Track regional price shifts over time. When something drops at one Aldi, nearby stores often follow within weeks. And pay attention to which products stay stable versus which ones bounce around. Some items are locked into rock-solid multi-year contracts. Others get renegotiated constantly. Knowing the difference saves real money. But pricing is just one piece of the puzzle. Because not all Aldi stores are created equal, and what's hiding in some locations might genuinely surprise you. Here's the thing most people never realize. Not all Aldis are created equal. Walk into one store, and you'll find imported German chocolates, fancy olive oils, and specialty cheeses that make you feel like you stumbled into a European market. Drive 15 minutes to another Aldi? Bare bones, basic. Like the exciting stuff got lost in shipping. Same logo, same shopping carts that need a quarter. Completely different experience. Aldi operates multiple store formats, and they don't exactly advertise this. Newer, remodeled locations quietly carry expanded product lines that older stores never receive. We're talking about entire sections of specialty items that simply don't exist at the Aldi down the road. And it gets weirder. Urban locations often stock premium imports that rural stores never see. Same branding, same prices on shared items. But the selection? Night and day difference. It's like comparing a steakhouse menu to a diner's. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some Aldi stores are secret test locations. They carry unreleased products that may never roll out nationwide. You could be walking past tomorrow's viral Aldi find without knowing it. These items aren't marked special. There's no sign saying exclusive test product. They just sit there, blending in, waiting for corporate to decide their fate. I've personally bought things at one Aldi that employees at another location swore didn't exist. Made me feel like I was describing a fever dream about cheese. The lesson? Your regular Aldi might not be your best Aldi. Knowing which store format you're shopping changes everything about what's actually available to you. But different stores aren't the only thing Aldi keeps quiet about. Ever notice how your favorite Aldi chocolate tastes? Different? Not bad exactly. Just off. Like someone swapped the recipe when you weren't looking. Well, they probably did. Here's Aldi's sneaky little secret. They almost never raise prices directly. Instead, They quietly adjust what's inside the package. Cocoa percentages drop from 70% to 65%. Olive oil blends suddenly include more canola. Dairy fat levels shrink just enough that you notice the texture changed but can't prove anything. And the packaging looks identical. I bought their dark chocolate almonds for years. Loved them. Then one day they tasted waxy. Cheaper. I thought maybe my taste buds were broken. Nope. Checked the nutrition panel against an old photo I had. Different fat content. Different cocoa solids. Same exact bag design. The real tell? When you see "new look" on packaging, that's often code for new supplier. Not a fresh design. A formula change they're legally required to hint at, but hoping you'll ignore. Here's where it gets interesting, though. A few months ago, I had no idea what a health ring even was until my fiancé got me one, and I have to say, I'm shocked this isn't a widely known and used product. It tracks my stress levels, and what I found out is that some supplements made my stress score spike, while others actually helped bring it down. I adjusted a few things based on that, and honestly, I feel 10 years younger. My wife mainly uses it to track her menstrual cycles, and she is obsessed with her sleep quality score. I noticed they are currently running a limited 69% discount, but I don't know how long it will last. It's currently only $60, and it's clear this one is the best bang for your buck, with other health rings priced around $350 with less functions. They managed to price it this low because they cut out the middleman like Amazon, Walmart, etc., who drive up the price and take a big margin, ending up with the customer paying 3 to 5 times more. If you are on TV, you can check it out yourself by pausing the video and scanning the QR code with your phone camera or clicking the first link in the description of this video. Sometimes these downgrades reverse. Customer complaints pile up, sales drop, and suddenly the old quality returns. But usually only temporarily. Like Aldi's testing how much they can get away with before people notice. The shoppers who catch this early, they're comparing nutrition panels over time. Protein grams, fat percentages, ingredient order. That stuff tells the real story before any Reddit thread does. Makes sense, right? Aldi stays cheap by playing with margins you can't see at the register. But quiet ingredient swaps aren't the only disappearing act Aldi pulls. Some products vanish entirely overnight. And the reason why reveals something even stranger about how Aldi actually decides what stays on shelves. Ever see a product at Aldi, think, "Oh, I'll grab that next time," and then it's gone forever? That's not bad luck. That's the system working exactly as designed. Aldi doesn't introduce new products hoping they'll find an audience. Every single item that hits those shelves is on probation. Day 1. No grace period, no, let's give it 6 months to build a following. They're tracking sell-through speed like a hawk watching a mouse. And I mean aggressively. If that item doesn't move fast enough in the first few weeks, done, pulled, never coming back. Here's what most shoppers don't realize. Even if something develops a cult following in certain stores, it doesn't matter. Margins missed? Cut. Sales solid but not spectacular? Cut. Popular in 3 states, but slow in 12 others? You guessed it. My neighbor still talks about these jalapeno stuffed olives from 2 years ago. Swears they were the best thing Aldi ever carried. She hesitated. Bought 1 jar instead of 5. Figured she'd stock up later. Later never came. And that's the trap. Aldi rewards early buyers. The people who see something new and immediately grab multiples? They're actually voting with their wallets. Enough early purchases can literally save a product from extinction. But hesitate? Wait for a sale? Tell yourself you'll try it first? By the time you decide you love it, The product's already been sentenced to death. This kill-or-scale approach is ruthless, but it's also why Aldi's shelves stay profitable and prices stay low. Now, those labels you're trusting on every product? They're hiding something even stranger than disappearing items. Ever notice how your favorite Aldi cheese tastes incredible one month, then kinda meh the next? You're not losing your mind. The supplier probably changed. Here's what most shoppers don't realize. Aldi brands aren't actual companies. They're contracts, rotating manufacturing agreements that shift constantly behind the scenes. That Millville cereal you love? It could be made by 3 different factories within the same year. Same box, same logo, completely different production line. And this explains so much. Why that salsa suddenly tastes sweeter. Why the bread texture changed. Why your kid insists the cookies are different even though the package looks identical. They're right. The producer switched. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some Aldi products are actually made by name-brand manufacturers, temporarily. During surplus production cycles, big brands offload excess capacity through private label deals. So for a few months, you might be getting the exact same product as the expensive version, just in different packaging. Then the surplus ends. Contract shifts. Suddenly, that amazing deal becomes just okay. My grandmother used to say, "You can't step in the same river twice." Apparently, you can't buy the same Aldi crackers twice either. So how do experienced shoppers handle this? They track manufacturer codes. Those tiny numbers stamped on packages reveal which facility made the product. Different code? Different taste is coming. Most people never check. They assume the brand name guarantees consistency. At Aldi, consistency lives in the contract, not the label. But speaking of things that aren't what they seem, Aldi's store layout hides something most shoppers completely overlook. Ever notice how Aldi stores feel a bit cramped? That's not poor planning. That's theft prevention disguised as a floor plan. Those narrow aisles? They make it harder to slip things into bags unnoticed. The low shelving? Staff can see across the entire store from almost any position. Limited exits? Well, that one's obvious. Aldi isn't being cheap with space. They're being strategic. Here's something wild. Some products that vanished from your local Aldi weren't actually unpopular. They were stolen too frequently. When shrinkage on an item exceeds its profit margin, Aldi doesn't fight harder. They just stop carrying it. Gone. Problem solved. I used to wonder why certain things were placed in the most boring spots imaginable. Razor blades tucked behind seasonal dog treats. Premium chocolates hidden near the canned vegetables. Turns out, high theft items get deliberately boring placement. Less impulse visibility means less impulse theft. It's like hiding your good snacks behind the quinoa so your kids don't find them. And those checkout lanes that feel uncomfortably narrow? Also intentional. Makes it awkward to have unpaid items in your cart while facing a cashier 3 feet away. Here's the trade-off most people miss. Aldi's insanely low prices only work because shrink rates stay insanely low. Other grocery stores lose 2 to 3% of inventory to theft yearly. Aldi aims for under 1%. That difference funds every discount you love. So when a product suddenly rotates to a weird spot, or disappears entirely, theft data might be the reason. But shrinkage isn't the only invisible force controlling what you buy. Some items look like amazing deals, but aren't even close. Ever notice how some items feel like they've always been at Aldi? Bread, eggs, butter, the basics. But here's where people get burned. Aldi deliberately blurs the line between what's permanent and what's seasonal. That salsa you've been buying for months? That specific cheese you throw in every cart? They might not actually be core products. They could be tied to short-term supplier contracts that expire without warning. And when they're gone, they're gone. I learned this the hard way with a particular hot sauce. Bought it casually for over a year. Never thought twice. Then, one day, empty shelf. Asked an employee. They just shrugged. Seasonal item. Seasonal? It was there in January and July. See, Aldi doesn't label things as limited unless it's an Isle of Shame special. Regular shelf items give zero indication of their contract status, so shoppers assume permanence when there isn't any. The real kicker? Once a supplier contract ends, Aldi rarely brings it back unless the margins dramatically improve. Your loyalty means nothing to the spreadsheet. This catches people off guard constantly. They casually think they'll grab extra next week. Next week arrives. Product doesn't. Now they're paying $3 more at another store for something similar, but not quite right. Makes sense why this is frustrating, right? Smart shoppers develop instincts about which items are truly permanent. Hint: anything with inconsistent shelf placement or rotating flavors probably isn't locked in long term. But misreading product permanence isn't the only visual trick working against you. There's another illusion happening right in front of your face. One that makes you think you're getting more than you actually are. Here's something that'll make you feel a little foolish once you notice it. You're comparing two products at Aldi. One box is taller, one bag looks fuller. Your brain screams, bigger equals better value. But Aldi doesn't design packaging for your eyes. They design it for pallets. See, every inch of shelf space and truck space costs money. So Aldi engineers packages to stack efficiently during shipping. That tall cereal box might hold the exact same amount as the shorter one next to it. The difference is airspace. You're literally buying air shaped like food. I fell for this myself with chips. Grabbed the bag that looked most impressive. Got home, opened it, and half the bag was just atmosphere. My wife looked at me like I'd been outsmarted by a snack aisle. She wasn't wrong. The tricky part is your instincts work against you here. Humans naturally compare by footprint. We judge size visually, not mathematically. Stores have exploited this forever. But Aldi takes it further because their entire model depends on logistics efficiency. A package that fits 12 per pallet instead of 10 changes their whole cost structure. So what's the move? Flip that package over. Check the grams. Check the ounces. Check the count. That 300-gram bag might sit next to a 250-gram bag that looks identical. The unit price tells the truth. The box shape lies to your face. And honestly, once you start noticing this, you can't unsee it. Every grocery store pulls this trick. Aldi just does it more systematically. But packaging games are nothing compared to the next mistake. Because this one costs people hundreds annually without them ever realizing it. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Aldi was never designed to be your only grocery store. I learned this the hard way. Spent years trying to force Aldi to cover everything on my list. Specialty cheeses, specific ethnic ingredients, that one hot sauce my family refuses to live without. And every single time, I left frustrated. Either Aldi didn't carry it, or their version just wasn't the same. But here's what finally clicked. Aldi engineers their entire business around winning on price per basket, not category completeness. They intentionally leave certain profit-heavy categories underdeveloped because chasing those margins would raise prices everywhere else. It's a trade-off they made on purpose. So, when you try forcing Aldi to be Target, Whole Foods, and Trader Joe's combined, you're fighting a system designed to resist exactly that. And the weird part is, this actually costs you money. You buy an Aldi substitute that doesn't quite work. Then you end up rebuying the real thing elsewhere anyway. Double spending, double trips, double frustration. Smart shoppers flip this entirely. They use Aldi as their staples headquarters. Bread, eggs, milk, butter, canned goods, frozen vegetables. The stuff that's basically identical everywhere but 30% cheaper at Aldi. Then they source specialty items from stores built for specialty items. This isn't settling, it's strategy. My grocery bill dropped almost 20% once I stopped expecting Aldi to be something it never claimed to be. Fewer disappointments, fewer wasted purchases. And honestly, way less time wandering aisles looking for products that simply don't exist. Aldi does what it does brilliantly. Let it.